Hello, class. This week we're going to be reading The Minister's Black Veil by Nathaniel Hawthorne. And the AKS we'll be working on is to analyze the impact of the author's choices regarding how to develop and relate elements of a story or drama. Okay? Now let's go over the author. Nathaniel Hawthorne is an American writer and the author also of The Scarlet Letter. Hawthorne works probe into human nature, especially its darker side. He set many stories against the somber background of the Puritan New England, the world of his ancestors. Hawthorne often dealt with the themes of morality, sin, and redemption. Redemption means to forgive. Now, let's look at the literary devices used in this short story. There's a parable, a simple, usually brief story that teaches a moral lesson, which means there's going to be a theme in the story. A message is told indirectly, so you must draw inferences or conclusions by looking closely at details, especially description and dialogue. So remember, beginning of the year, I talked about to infer. You take your background knowledge and what's in the text, what you're reading, and you come up with a conclusion. So it's critical that you read every word carefully to understand, is there a mood? Is there a symbol? What is the author trying to tell you? And here we go, symbol. Something that has a meaning in itself while also standing for something greater. Okay, so there is a symbol in the story. And the setting, time, place, and social atmosphere. Now, this setting is in New England during the Puritans' time, okay? Now, it is a short story. A short story is a brief prose narrative that usually can be read in one sitting, generally including the following elements. Okay, it's a short story. It has a setting, a time and place. It has characters. And usually the characters are a protagonist, which is usually the main character, and a antagonist, which is a character in conflict with the protagonist. It has a point of view, the perspective of the storyteller or narrator. This will be at a third person point of view, and definitely it has a theme, the central message of the story that readers can apply to life. And it has a plot, which is the sequence of related events in a story. Okay? And usually the plot is developed usually around a conflict, a struggle between opposing forces. Now, let's look at some background. Here's some questions I want you to ponder on before we start reading. Do you feel you stand up for what you believe in? What lengths would you go to in order to stand firm in your beliefs? If you were shunned because of your beliefs, would it cause you to alter them? So, if friends or family members ignored you and told you never again to have any interaction with them, that's called to be shunned because of what you believed in. Would you change your beliefs? Alter means to change. Would you change your beliefs in order to be accepted? What does it mean to be faithful? And faithful meaning to you, to your beliefs, okay? Would you bear the burdens of others in order to save them? Would you sacrifice yourself in order to save others because of their sins or things that they have done that were wrong? Now, in the minister's black veil, would people be comfortable if we knew the contents of each other's soul? So the story is about how would you feel if people can just read right through you and know exactly how what your soul feels? Is your soul either in peace, or is your soul filled with sin, or is your soul tormented? Now, let me introduce the story. Mr. Hooper, a young Puritan clergyman, shocks his congregation by appearing at the church one Sunday in a black veil. Why? The people wonder fearfully. Is their minister hiding his face? Is the veil related to the topic of Mr. Hooper's sermon, A Secret Sin? Now remember, a sermon is when you go in at a church, the pastor or the priest or the rabbi would would speak about a particular theme. Okay, so it's a sermon. Now, let me go over the overview of the story, okay? It's a synopsis. The minister in the town comes to church wearing a black veil, in which he refuses to remove. His congregation starts talking about the minister and questioning why is he wearing the veil. He never reveals the reasoning. Now let's ponder. Why do people wear veils? When do people wear veils? What does a veil represent? Now, usually men do not wear veils. Now, if you are of the Islam faith, some women do wear a hijab to cover their hair. If a woman is getting married, they would wear a veil. Now, for a man who is a pastor or a priest, I'm not sure why they would wear a veil. So, reading this short story, we can conclude, we can infer. Okay? Now, the characters are Reverend Hooper. Remember Elizabeth. I have quite a few questions about Elizabeth and various townspeople. Now, let's look at the literary skill we're focusing on. We're focusing on symbolism, okay? A symbol is something that has a meaning in itself. It also stands for something beyond itself. It could be peace. A symbol could be about peace, like this dove. The symbol of a dove is peace. Passage of time. The symbol of this means how time passes so quickly. And the symbol of this card means love. Okay. Now, let's look at the literary skills again when you're reading as it relates to symbolism. Hawthorne, like other, sorry about that, like other dark romantics, used symbolism in his writing. The central symbol in the story is a black veil. Descriptions of the veil suggest its symbolic importance. The veil darkly separates the wearer from the world. Is it horrible? A dismal shade? A mysterious emblem? Now, when we're reading The Minister's Black Veil, your reading focuses, you're drawing inferences. This is fiction, and you really have to use your background knowledge and read very carefully the details to infer. When you read a story, you draw inferences about the characters and events. An inference is an educated guess based on details of the text and your own knowledge and experience. Now, for the next 3 weeks, you're going to be doing all of your reading, you're going to infer. You're going to be taking an educated guess. The answer will not be in the text. You have to read the text and, with your background knowledge, conclude what is it the author is trying to tell you. And here's an example. Now, this is from the minister's veil. So let me read this to you. How can you infer the mood on the Sunday morning in Milford as the story begins? So I'm going to start with you. Children with bright faces tripped merrily beside their parents or mimicked a graver gait. In the conscious dignity of their Sunday clothes, spruce bachelors looked sidelong at the pretty maidens and fancied that the Sabbath sunshine made them prettier than on weekdays. From these details, you can infer that the mood is lighthearted, it's pleasant. For example, the children have bright faces and they trip merrily. Merrily means they're happy, so they're just skipping along. Either they're skipping along or some of them mimic a graver gait. So some may mimic, think of the word graver, a grave. Some of them are probably walking sadly. And they all are walking in their wonderful, clean Sunday outfits. And the bachelors, which are the men, are looking at the very pretty maidens, the young girls, who are dressed in their Sunday outfit, who are dressed in their Sunday outfit, and because of the sun, they even look prettier than the usual weekdays. Now, the word Sabbath means Sunday. Usually, Sabbath means the day of worship. So, if someone was Jewish, they would worship on Saturday. Someone is Christian, they would worship on Sunday. And if someone is from Islam, they would worship 3 times a day facing Mecca. Okay, so Sabbath means when the day that, or the time that you would gather to pray. Now, you're going to go into your student e-class. You're going to select this textbook. Then it's critical that you, when you're reading the text, when you see a number next to a word, please press it because then you're able to know what the word means. For example, inequity. Don't read, please do not continue to read unless you understand the word, okay? Because if you do not understand the vocabulary, you're going to lose out on the meaning of the text, especially that particular paragraph. So it's critical that as you're reading, click the number to be able to read the definition. Also, some more vocabulary words. When you also hear, you will click the little square, and then you will be able to have the definition as well. So make sure as you're reading, you stop and you read the definition, you understand the definition in order to be able to have a more deeper understanding of the text. Okay? And then you're going to go into Nearpod and answer some questions. Have a great day.